Observaciones de mi vida, victoria. Mi vida ya está escrita. Victoria. Pero sigo el mismo, nunca cambio, aunque tenga muchos títulos. Ahora muchos me dicen Sabor Latino. Te felicito, mi hermano, eres famoso. Gracias por todo el apoyo, es la respuesta. El mensaje: nunca te rindas en la vida. Y nunca me olvido de esa celda que hasta hoy tengo. Muchas pesadillas, 360, la vida da vuelta. Ahora inspiro familias en una escuela. 7 publicaciones, sueños cumplidos. Que represento, hip-hop positivo. Los dolores ahora son canciones. Más bendiciones, más observaciones y más versos. Ahora más escupo bendiciones. Ahora me despido. Victoria.
Good morning. How we doing out there, New York City? New York City, how we doing out there? How's the world doing out there? Welcome to an episode of A Learning Moment with Sabor Latino. And by the way, thank you so much to everyone that's been tuning in. Thank you so much to everyone that's been checking in to what's been going on over here in this part of town with my new podcast, A Learning Moment with Sabor Latino. Oh man, if you guys are on the news, so excited. At the same time, we got to give blessings to the higher power for giving us this opportunity to be here today. And we're here. You know, I always told you guys that have been following me, I said I'm going to be having some guests coming in eventually. It's not only going to be about Sabor Latino's learning moments, but other individuals' learning moments. And how can their learning moments continue to inspire my community, continue to inspire the work that I'm doing, continue to inspire the world, right? Every time we turn on the news, there's always something bad going on, some negative things going on. So I really wanted to focus on this podcast being really positive. And so yeah, with all this being said, today we're going to have our first guest on the show, right? Very inspirational person, someone that very motivating, you know, reached out to Sabor Latino. He wanted to be in the show. And I said, what's the story going to be about? What's the learning moment? He broke it down to me what it was. I said, absolutely, we're going to have him on the show. Without further ado, his name is Mr. Morrison, YouTuber, college student, college graduate, I should say, pro athlete, been in the auto business for years. So he's got a lot of things to share. So I said, we absolutely bring him in the show and learn from his learning moment. And we all going to be able to learn from his learning moment. But before I start, let me give a shout out real quick. I want to say thank you to the newspaper Queens Chronicle reaching out to me. They really wanted to know what was going on with the podcast. So I just wanted to give a quick shout out before we start to Queens Chronicle newspaper. For that great interview that I did, and it was published a few days ago. Just really them understanding what Sabor Latino is doing in the community, what I'm doing to inspire people, and just continue to an extension of my work with this podcast. So I really appreciate the love. But with any further ado, let's get back to our guest right now. So everyone, hold on, let's give them a round of applause. Let's do this again. Yeah, with all this further ado, Mr. Morrison is in the building. How we doing, Mr. Morrison? Good morning.
Oh, man. Thank you, Mr. Sabor, man. I really appreciate that intro. Yeah, it's the first time I actually had a nice introduction like that. So, excited to be here. First podcast I'm doing, you know, ready to just to see how things go. Appreciate you bringing me on. First of all, thank you for all the great things that you're doing in the community.
Absolutely.
You know, the outreach, opening the door for the youth, preaching the importance of education. You know, your resume speaks for itself. So just continue to build on that. And, you know, many more great things to come, of course. Definitely.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you for that shout out. I really appreciate it. And like I said, I just want to be specific. Yeah. I want people to know that this is a podcast that's about positivity. It's a podcast about learning moments. It's a podcast about just bringing that inspiration to the world, especially for the youth, right? For everyone, but especially for the youth. Making sure that as older individuals, as people in different walks of life, as people in professions, whether it's hip hop, whether it's author, whatever it may be, being able to share those stories and those moments to continue to inspire our community and just bringing them that good, I call it mental health moments, right? A lot of the times we go through so many challenges, but the point is after everything that we're going through, what is the learning moment and what is the one thing that we can share through that experience that could continue to inspire the world. As everyone knows, Sabor Latino is about positivity. So again, I'll mention it in the future. I'll continue to be bringing other guests in the program and telling their beautiful, inspirational stories to help everyone. So just wanted to make sure everyone is clear with why we're doing this podcast. So again, welcome, Mr. Morrison. Man, I have a lot of questions for you, a lot of curiosity. What's going on with you?
Of course.
You know what I mean? So let's just start real quick. Can you just tell the fans, the public, the community, who are you? What are you doing? And where do you come from? And where we at with everything?
Yeah, of course, definitely. So, I come from humble beginnings. Probably some of you never heard about me, but I was born in Brooklyn, New York. Grew up in the East New York, Brownsville part of Brooklyn. Obviously not the greatest neighborhoods, a lot of crime, violence around us as me and my brother was growing up.
Absolutely.
We grew up with a single mom, so she did her best rather, to keep us out of the dangers of the bad things going on in our neighborhoods.
Absolutely.
So she helped keep a good crowd around us of the right people, kept us in the church, kept us in school. And one of the things that really helped us out and got us out of that neighborhood was she found a program that helped us with our education. So basically, this program allowed us to go to schools in a different district, in a much better neighborhood.
Nice.
So even though I was living in East New York, Brownsville, Brooklyn, a school bus would literally come to my house, pick us up at 6 a.m., take us to Fresh Meadows, Queens, which was a much nicer area at the time. Education was better, a lot of students motivated to do well in school. So we just had that nice group of friends around us that kind of kept us out of trouble.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And thank you for sharing that. Assessing what you're saying is so interesting, how moms do so much for us, right?
Of course, yeah.
Even though growing in the neighborhoods that we grow on, they still want to make us feel like we're important. They still want to make us feel like we need to belong, that we belong no matter what neighborhood we come from. And Brooklyn is an interesting borough, right?
Yeah.
Shout out to Brooklyn.
Of course,
everyone in
of
Brooklyn in
course.
the building. I hope everyone's doing well in that section. But yeah, we got to also at the same time be thankful to our parents, right? So much time that they put in for us. And I always mention this to youth. Be thankful to your parents. Be thankful for everything that they try to do for us. So just try to continue to guide us and do great things for us. And, we need to be thankful, especially the mom, right? So, interesting. So, growing up in Brooklyn, excellent. So, now, what is your current profession and what persuades you to go in this direction?
So, right now, I work in the automotive industry. And, I've been doing it for quite a few years now, over probably 8.5, 9 years.
Nice.
But basically, what sparked my interest was in my mid to late part of high school. I used to be a heavy gamer. One of my favorite games of all time is called Forza Motorsport. It was a racing game.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that game had over 500 cars in it. And that really opened the door for my interest in cars. So I learned about the different brands of cars. The game would actually give you the history on certain brands and why certain cars are made this way. So shortly after I got out of college, I found a job working for a rental car company.
Nice.
And the position was manager trainee. I worked diligently at my job every day. Eventually, over the course of years, got promoted to be a branch manager in one of the busiest locations in Brooklyn.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and then learned so much about cars. Then shortly after that, pivoted into the mechanic part of the automotive industry.
Nice.
So before, I just knew a lot about cars, brands, and models, but none about how the mechanical components of cars work.
And that's a big part. Right?
Yeah, of course, because
Right.
cars break down,
Absolutely.
I don't know if you know, but the vast majority of profits that these automakers make is from service, not from actually selling the car. They make more money from fixing the cars.
Interesting.
That's the biggest part of the business, yeah.
Interesting.
So now that I'm working on that side of the business, I'm learning more about how cars work, how to fix cars a little bit. No, not a full mechanic, but, it's good knowledge to have. So
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, when I read your story and we kind of spoke about how we're going to be doing this, it was really interesting how diverse you are in so many different areas, right? That's very interesting. Not only a college student, also auto industry, now a little bit about mechanic, knowing the business, right? And also interesting of going to college, right? And also interesting of being, so again, So it's so interesting how diverse you are and how much talent that you have in so many different areas. So happy for you, right? Being able to know so much information. Now, just real quick, if you don't mind, any advice you want to give to someone before we move on with the interview about the auto industry? Any takeaways, anything you want to just share real quick with that? And then we can move on.
Well, for one, if you want to get into it, I would only recommend it if you really like it, if you have a passion for it.
Right.
Because you don't want to be working at something that you don't really like at the end of the day, because you're going to spend so many hours there on a daily basis. So you got to make sure you truly love it. Now, as far as dealing with cars, just stay curious. That's the best thing I could say and advise people, is there's just so many different things to learn about different car brands, different certain models work differently, even though they're under the same brand. There's just so many different things. Cars have like over 20,000 parts involved. So
Absolutely.
Just stay curious, be happy to learn, and you'll do fine in that industry. Now, it is changing though, because cars are going to become more hybrid and electric cars. Eventually, all cars are going to be electric. So just be curious and open to change. Those will be my two main.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing. And again, also being mindful, right? I'm not really in the car business, but I know a little bit about cars. Just being mindful when you're going to get the car, make sure you go in there with questions, right? What is it that you're interested about this car? What is it that you're looking for? Also think about your finances. Can you afford the car, and etc. And make sure you find a genuine car salesman. I would say that's important, right, Mr. Morrison? Making sure someone you know that is going to give you a good recommendation. So when you are going to go buy a car, there's a lot of bad things out there with lemons being sold.
Oh, definitely,
right?
For sure. Yeah.
So being mindful to just please do your research, right, before you go get the car. Because a lot of areas that come with it, finances, the mechanical aspect, like Mr. Morris is saying, and so many areas. So thank you for sharing that moment. Really, really appreciate it. So I got a real quick question that I'm curious about. Can you just tell us a little bit about your experiences as a pro athlete? There's a lot of youth that I work with that really ask questions about, Mr. Torres, how do I make it in sports? How do I get involved? How do I want to be a professional player? Well, we have one here today. So can you just share a little bit to the fans, to the public, to the community? First things first, how hard is it to become a professional athlete? Let's start with that, Mr. Morrison.
Well, the stats really speak for themselves. I mean, if you look at the percentage of people that actually make it to the pro level versus the percentage that don't, I mean, that alone tells you how hard it is.
Copy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Only, I heard roughly around 2% of all high school players actually make it to play at the college level or higher. So just, you really got to stand out. You really got to be extra motivated than the average person. Very, very disciplined to get up every day, to push yourself through the discomfort of what it takes to maintain your body, to get better at your sport, push yourself through the down days, mentally when you don't feel like it, when things aren't going well. It's a lot of mental toughness you have to build, over years. This is a thing that takes years and years and years of disappointment, overcoming hurdles, and just sticking through with it.
So I think the biggest takeaway would be never give up on your dreams, I'm assuming.
Of course.
I guess discipline also plays a big part with that, right? Really being mindful, what is it that you want to do when you grow up? And to the youth out there, you're getting the words from a professional. And that was basketball you played, Mr. Morrison, correct?
Yeah, yes.
Professional. You want to give a little input with that, with the pro? How was it with the league? How was it? What kind of professional basketball? You share a little bit, if you don't mind?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, nowadays, a lot of college players get paid to play basketball, too. So I did play in college.
Nice.
Which now it's paid, but when I played, it wasn't paid at the time. So after college, I just never lost my passion for the game of basketball. Yeah, so on a weekly basis, always kept playing, always kept improving my game, staying in shape. That's something that I developed over years of playing basketball that never left me. Those two skills helped open up the door for me to walk onto a pro team, a semi-pro team in the NBA.
Talk about it.
I stayed ready, improved my game, went to a tryout.
Nice.
Yeah, they saw me play.
Nice.
Gave me a roster spot and played for them for 2 seasons. Met many great people, many great friends on the team still to this day. Got to travel across the Northeast, see different places.
Beautiful.
To Rhode Island. It was a great experience overall, definitely.
Great moment. Not to bring it back to me, right? I remember, I played ball.
Of course,
right?
yeah.
Did a little high school ball, had a chance to play pro in Puerto Rico, and so many other things, right? That's why another thing I found really interesting about you, because we kind of correlate in that aspect as well too. And I must say, just to add my little input to that, it's not easy making it to the pro. Whether it's Division I basketball, what's not considered pro, but I'm just saying Division I basketball, overseas, right? People play pro in different countries, right? So again, just becoming a professional athlete takes so much. I remember on the weekends, on Saturdays, I'm up there putting 400 jump shots. My dad, as you guys know, my dad was a school teacher. He was very into education and sports, sending me to all these different basketball camps around the city. Went to a couple of them in New Jersey with a lot of big name players from New York City. I believe Kenny Anderson was there at that time too, All-American guard or whatever. But yeah, just that experience is just not easy making it. So I really want to commend you and congratulate you for, number one, sticking to your goals and dreams, right? Because it's so hard to just make it into professional sports. And today, for thank you again for sharing your story. And I guess one takeaway from that would be never give up on your dreams, continue to work hard, and you know, it can happen, right? We all testaments of our challenges that we went through in our lives. We stuck to our goals and we were able to make it. So I really commend you for that.
Yeah,
appreciate that.
Of course. Thank you.
So
Appreciate that.
moving on real quick, you know what I mean? We got to keep it moving. So next question I got in mind, YouTuber. Wow. Can you just give us a little bit about that? I've been seeing you on YouTube a lot too,
Yeah.
Mr. Morrison. I started to see you out there, Mr. Morrison. Later on, before we wrap this up, I want you to give your information out to the public so they
Of
can know
course.
where they find you. But you can just touch a little base on YouTuber. How
Yeah.
did you get into that? And where we going with all this? Talk to us.
That's actually a good question. I haven't been asked
you.
that before.
Good.
So
Absolutely. You ain't got to come from Sabor Latino. You know that.
Of course. So, yeah, you got me thinking.
Go ahead.
So,
Go ahead.
yeah, this had to I started back in 2019 doing YouTube.
Okay.
And
Okay.
I'm thinking I just wanted to build a hobby to just share what I knew with the world. So I wanted to just speak on my basketball experiences.
Absolutely.
To really give advice to high school students or junior high, young students looking to make a basketball team. So
Absolutely.
I made a couple terrible videos. This is when I first started, so I wasn't great at it.
We live and we learn, right? It happens.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
happens, right?
So just explaining my experiences, giving them tips and advice on how to make the team. Eventually, it transitioned to doing car reviews because I worked at a rental car company.
You said that, correct.
So I
You said
had
that.
so many access to all these cars. So I would just share my knowledge about cars to people who were curious about buying certain cars.
Absolutely.
What features to look for, how the cars drive. And then did that for a couple of years. Did it on and off.
Mm-hmm.
But recently, I just decided to go back into it and lock in and really
I
try to
noticed.
push my YouTube to another level.
Okay.
Because I've learned so much more about basketball over the years,
Mhm.
and I feel like my experience playing semi-pro and just getting more into fitness, I can share even more to the world and teach people the sport, how to get better at the sport, and just really improve myself as a person too.
Absolutely. I got a quick
Yeah.
question, not to cut you off. Are we looking at mentoring right now, the way we sounded? Could that be some...
Yeah, it could be a possibility. I know I'm just got some recent advice from you, so
Okay, we could talk about that. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Sound like we're going into that mentoring lane down the road.
Yeah,
I love
yeah.
it. I love it. Yeah, so thank you for sharing that. Again, what would be the takeaway from that? Here is another young man again had other type of dreams, right? Where he wanted to get into the YouTube world and share his story, share his moments, share his learning moments, right? And that was another reason why I brought him, because he's a very inspirational person and works in so many different avenues. And I'll be honest with you, I'll say it live.
Yeah.
I think you'd be a great mentor. I think that could be another avenue you can work on down the road. That's something to look into. We'll touch base on that maybe in another time, right? But
course,
thank you for
of
sharing
course.
that. So we got on where he's from. We spoke about YouTube. We spoke about the pro athlete, right? And we still got other questions for Mr. Morrison.
Of course.
You know, when we got good guests coming in, we got to feed the public and the community with these inspirational stories. So here we go with another question. Now, my question would be, what are your views? Oh, before I get into this question, you know how big Sabor Latino is on education, right?
Definitely.
Being a counselor, social services, supporting the youth over more than a decade and a half. My question to you is, Mr. Morrison, what are your views on the value of education?
So my views on the value of education. this was something that I wish I learned earlier in life, because when I was in elementary school through high school, I wasn't the best student. Now, I'm not saying I was a terrible student. I never got left back or anything like that, but education is very valuable because it taught me how to really be disciplined and how to lock in to get good grades.
Absolutely.
And this is something I didn't really learn until I was in college when I was pre-med, when I wanted to be a doctor.
Excellent.
So I transitioned from computer engineering to pre-medicine. And if you want to make it in pre-med, you got to get good grades.
Yes.
So
high GPAs. Yes.
The value education taught me that education is needed to do certain things you need to do in life. You have to lock in and get good grades if you want to stand out from other people and be the best that you can be.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So is it safe to say that in order to be successful in life, education definitely plays a big part?
Yeah, I would say 9 out of 10 times if you ask yourself what you want to do in life, education is probably going to be one of those things that you need to get done to get you to that goal. So, yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Morrison, for sharing that. So, to all the young men out there, if I may, please listen to this good role model in our community, right? Different areas of professionalism, right? He's also sharing his story, and Sabor Latino is big on that, the value of education. To all youth out there, please value your education. Your education sometimes is just the only way out. And I always said it, and I'll keep saying it in all my other episodes. We know education is not for everyone. But at least try to get yourself at least your high school, at least 2 years of college. It's so important just to be well-rounded and to have that resume with a little bit of education. So again, I highly recommend the importance of education. You heard it from Mr. Morrison, the value of education, and that can help you succeed. So very, 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 very interesting. So moving on, I have another question. A lot of students or people in general invest in so many other things. How do you believe we can best encourage our youth to invest in their education rather than just materialistic things? They always, They always value sneakers and the Jordans and the hats and the cars and all that. How do we make them value or to invest in their education, if I may ask?
Yeah, that's definitely a good question. And like you said, a lot of people are investing in external things that don't really pay them back. Like you said, Jordans, stuff like that.
Absolutely.
But to get them to invest in education is you want to teach them the importance of investing in themselves. And I feel like part of investing in yourself is investing in your education, because your education is what's going to help you reach your goal. So I would encourage the youths to think about times when you invested in yourself and you saw a payback. Right? Investing in yourself is more important than investing in something else.
Absolutely.
So I'll say encourage the youth to remember a time when they invested in themselves, when they took time and money to take care of themselves and they saw the output from doing that, and then encourage them to find out what they want to do in life and help them realize that in order to get to where you want to do in your life, you're most likely going to have to invest in your education, and that'll make them more excited about the education, more motivated to at least invest in their education to put them to where they need to go.
Absolutely. Yeah, so that was a great answer. Thank you for answering that question, Mr. Morris. Matter of fact, I'm going to give you a clap for that one. I'm big on education.
Of course.
You know that. So appreciate that. Again, I can't emphasize it enough from the value of education. To all the youth out there, I hope you guys are paying attention. This is super important. Remember that now is your moment, and every time that passes by is not going to return. So again, take advantage of the moment. Make sure you're getting your learning on, and hopefully all we want to do is just help you and support you to become productive members of society in the future. So moving on, Mr. Morrison, good stuff going on. As you know, I'm very supportive of the youth. So my question is, in my mission to support the youth, I always emphasize that education is incredibly valuable. How has education or mentorship shaped the person you are today, Mr. Morrison?
Yeah, so for me with education, I'll jump back to when I was in college, when I was doing pre-med. I didn't really know that I could really lock in and get good grades. Once I set a goal to be pre-med because I wanted to get into the medical field and possibly be a doctor.
Right.
That it's possible to get A's once you really apply yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like the mentorship was more important to me because there was a program that I was in my college, and we had this career development specialist. His name was Mr. Atkins. I'm not going to forget his name.
Okay.
But he kind of motivated me and steered me towards getting better grades in school. And he really opened up my eyes to possibly getting into pre-med.
Nice.
So basically, he told me about this African-American brain surgeon called Ben Carson.
Okay,
encouraged me
interesting.
to read the book.
Okay.
And then that really motivated me to take my education serious, do well in my science classes. And I actually ended up loving science. I became a biology and chemistry tutor in college. That's how much I just started to love science.
Interesting.
And that wouldn't have been possible without a strong mentor like him to preach the importance of education and just being a good student.
So yeah, that was a great answer. Thank you for sharing that. I'm gonna give you another round of applause for that. Great answer. Appreciate that. Again, understanding the value of education, understanding the importance of investing in your future, right? Also understanding the importance of mentors. Here we have another situation where we got inspired by whether it was a professor, by whether it was a mentor. And this is what I mean when I tell people when you're working with the community that a lot of the times you'd be surprised that you don't have to be a superstar known person to be impactful in your community. And I really emphasize on the importance of just being a superstar in your own space. And here's a prime example of what I mean. Someone that just gave you a little mentorship, give you an idea, and you were able to run with it and be successful in the area. So shout out to all the mentors out there. Hold on a second. Shout out to all the mentors out there for all the great work that they do, right? We got to give them a round of applause. They do so much for the youth. Shout out to all the teachers out there too, social workers, and if I must say real quick, talking about social workers, they also do a great job in the community. Shout out to all the social workers right now for using my 5th book, You're a Beautiful and Special Person, in their classrooms with their students. They also supported my 5th project, so I really appreciate that. So again, shout out to the social workers, shout out to the counselors, shout out to the teachers, shout out to our leaders in our communities for all the great work that they're doing for our youth today. And this is a prime example of how a mentor in our community was able to help Mr. Morrison. Great stuff. So moving on. As you know, Mr. Morrison, social media has taken over the world. The digital market, the digital platforms. I have a question for you. With so many digital distractions, how can we best guide the younger generation to stay focused on their goals?
Yeah, I like how you said what's the best way, because there's definitely no perfect way. And it's like sometimes we're trying to fight a losing battle because young kids nowadays, they're growing up with smartphones in their hands. So we don't personally know what it's like to grow up with a cell phone. I feel like a lot of the brains of the younger students are just conditioned to multitask more because they have these computers in their pockets all the time.
Absolutely.
So the best we can do is really try to instill discipline on it in them so that they can learn to not let the distractions get to them.
Right.
Because naturally, I think their brain is just more programmed to multitask and have more stimuli going on because they grew up with these phones.
Absolutely.
But the best thing we can do is try to raise them to be very disciplined, to not let these distractions get to them.
Right.
Raise them to be disciplined, to know who they are as students and as people, to not let these distractions pull them in the wrong directions.
Yeah.
So just instill discipline and keeping them focused on what they really want to do in life. I feel like once they know those two things, the distractions won't get to them too much.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. Great thought process there. If I may add to that, I think what's important too, Mr. Morrison, is these youth today really understanding the difference between reliable and unreliable information. And what I mean by that is a lot of the times they're spending so much time on these social media platforms. And my question would be to the youth, what is motivating you so much in these platforms that is actually taking all less time or less focus on your goals and again, your education. So I think this question is very important as social media has taken over the world. And don't get it wrong, guys. Sabor Latino is not saying that social media is bad or the digital world. What I'm saying is we just have to be mindful. As we also know, there's a lot of cyberbullying going on online nowadays, right? Who are we following? A lot of students spending so much time on these platforms that are actually affecting their education and affecting their goals, completing their goals. It's kind of hard to really, or how does someone really focus as a student and getting good grades when they're spending 40, 50 hours a week on social media platforms, right? So as parents, I highly recommend to just have this dialogue with your students, with your children, right? And just letting them know the importance of what's going on out there with this digital world, right? And obviously there is some value, right? Where we can go into a phone nowadays and find any information we're looking for, right? 20 years ago, how are you even possible? Is it possible? You have a family member that moves out to another country, they're going to be able to FaceTime them.
Yeah.
Never heard of. Back in the days, we grew up with beepers. And the ones that grew up in my era know what I'm talking about, right? You grew up in beeper, you got to have those quarters in your pocket and go to the corner phone and make that phone call. But the point about it is let's just stay focused with our goals, like Mr. Morrison said. Try to stay away from all these social media, being mindful that a lot of time is being invested into these devices. And the question would be, how is this affecting your mental health? And how is this affecting your being able to complete your goals in life, right? So it's a very interesting question. So thank you for sharing that. So we're moving right along. I think this is getting interesting by the moment. We're getting a lot of great learning moments from Mr. Morrison here. So moving on to the next question. So Mr. Morrison, what is one piece of advice you will give to someone who feels discouraged about pursuing their dreams? What good advice? Think about it. Some of us start our dreams, we don't make it. Some of us start, we get discouraged. Some of us start, we don't know how to set up the strategic plan to make it. What is some advice you can give to someone that is getting discouraged and is losing hope in their dreams? And I'm sure you probably went through those situations.
Yeah, of course, definitely.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Morrison.
Yeah, I would try to encourage them to think about a time in their life when they planned on starting something and, whether weeks had passed, days had passed, months had passed, whatever it may be, and you think back to it when you should have started and you think to yourself, wow, if I started then, this would have been done by now.
Absolutely.
That's something that I think about sometimes that really instills a sense of urgency in my life now.
Absolutely.
Or what about you have them think about a time when they wish they did something and they never did it. And you think back to that time when you start to wonder, I wonder what would have happened if I did it. Or you probably will beat yourself up more over the fact that you didn't do anything. It's not really about the outcome about what would have happened.
Absolutely.
But more so is, damn, I just wish I did it. It would have been better if I at least did something.
Correct.
Now,
is that part of procrastination, we could say? A little procrastination?
Partly procrastination. I would say more so just being nervous to step out and do something new. Or fear.
A little fear. Correct.
Talking yourself out of doing certain things.
Okay.
And think about how you feel when that happens. You beat yourself up about it, you regret it, you wish you did it, regardless of the outcome. Now, apply that to your life with your goals and dreams. You don't want to make that same mistake with your life's purpose.
Absolutely.
You don't want to get to a certain age where you look back on your life and you feel discouraged or upset, regret that you didn't do what you wanted to do.
Wow.
Or you gave up.
Wow.
That's not something you want to play with.
Wow.
So,
especially as you get older in life, not to cut you off,
Yeah.
and you're assessing what's going on as you get older, you're like, wait a minute, why did I even take that chance? Or what could have been if I would have even not been a little bit fearful, or not even procrastinated a little bit, and just had a little bit more self-confidence, right? So what would be a learning moment with that? What do you think, Mr. Morrison?
A learning moment
with how do we, although that we're going through these challenges, how do we continue to stay focused and not let nothing distract us in completing our goals?
For me, I would say it's the fear of regret. You don't want to, like I said, go towards the end of your life and wish you did something that you didn't do, or wish you made the move and you didn't actually make the move.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely,
I would say use smaller learning moments in your life from the past where you should have did something and you passed on it, and then now you're thinking back to how I should have done it.
Right.
Yeah, I would use smaller learning moments to apply to the biggest learning moment, which is your goals, your dreams, your purpose.
Absolutely. And if I may add to that, I think what Mr. Morris is getting at is that we're young sometimes, right? Sometimes we're going to make mistakes. Sometimes we might not feel confident at the moment. Sometimes we might get discouraged. But I think what he's trying to get at is always remembering that everything can be done, right? Figuring out, even if we make mistakes, what is the learning moment, right? We're gonna, in order to be successful in life, and I'm saying this from my point of view as well, you have to pass through learning moments. But the biggest mistake in life is when you're going through these challenges in your life, you want to make sure that you're learning from them. So you don't continue to make these mistakes. So when you get older, you can say, you know what? We all made the mistake, but I learned from it. And it turned out to the better.
Of course.
And the last part will be, don't forget to share that information. I'm very big on when you're learning, don't be selfish with that information. Share the information, right? With individuals specifically that you know that can use this information. Correct, Ms. Morrison?
Yeah.
Right? So that's also one big part. So great. Another good learning moment there. We're moving right along, right? We got a couple of more questions to ask Mr. Morrison. I know he's got a busy schedule, and we appreciate him again for taking time to come in here with us and meet with us, right? So next question would be, why do you feel it's so important to never forget where you come from as you reach new levels of success? Think about that. How many people forget about where they come from when they're reaching new levels of success? Why is it important, you think, Mr. Morrison, not to forget where you come from as you're reaching that ladder of success?
Yeah, definitely.
Oof.
Like, reaching levels of success, the higher you go, the more work it takes, the more dedicated you have to be.
Right.
And it's very important not to lose yourself in the process, because the higher you go, the more you have to work, the more laser focus you have to get.
Right.
And as you you don't want to lose yourself, because if you lose yourself, you're not the same person that you once were.
Correct.
And when you change, the closest people in your life, they may not recognize you anymore. You might start to lose close friends and family because you're becoming a different person. Or you might lose certain interests and hobbies that make you who you are, like your spark, what gets you up in the morning.
Absolutely.
You know, as you change, you might lose that. Right. Or also, even worse, you become a different person. You lose yourself in pursuit of success, that you start to pick up certain bad habits that you never had before. Whether it become drinking, you develop a drug habit.
Substance use, right.
Yeah, so you don't want to lose yourself and become a completely different person and end up losing very important things in your life.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so just try to stay focused. Remember where you came from, who you are as you go up, so that you don't lose yourself. Good.
Thank you for sharing that, Mr. Morrison. That's deep stuff. So again, and I emphasized it in one of my episodes, I believe it's episode 9, I think 8 or 9, whichever one it was, the importance of never forgetting where you come from. So many learning moments I've got from those experiences of how I've seen people finally get an opportunity, finally being able to reach that ladder of success, but they forget where they come from, right? I made myself a promise, and I'll say it out here live again. The more successful Sabor Latino becomes, the more humble I plan to be, right? And always remembering, born and raised in Jamaica, Queens, right? This is my hometown, you know what I mean? And I want to just bring out to the world out there to please, nothing wrong with being successful, but it's also very important to never forget where you come from and always try to do your best in your community, and even giving back to your community is very important. So thank you for sharing that, Mr. Morris. So moving right along. Wow, this is getting exciting by the moment. So can you share a story about a time someone opened a door for you? We're talking a little bit about gratitude and how it taught you the value of gratitude. And how many times people open the door for others and they forget about that? Can you tell us a time when someone opened that door for you and it was a form of gratitude that helped you become the person you are today? Thank you.
So I could think of a recent time I was walking out the bank. The guy was coming in. I was much further from the door, so instead of him just walking into the bank, he stayed by the door and held it open for me to leave. You know, and I said thank you.
That's nice.
But like you were saying about gratitude, it's so simple. It's easy. It doesn't take a lot to appreciate something that someone's done for you.
Absolutely.
And you appreciating something that someone's done for you, it makes what they've done for you more valuable to you, because now you're actually showing appreciation for it.
Absolutely.
You appreciate it more. It makes you feel better. And in turn, they see that you're genuinely you're showing gratitude for what they've done for you, so it makes them feel better. And hopefully it creates positive feelings in them as well, creates a trickle-down effect, and they just pass it on to more and more people.
Yes.
And it's just a small investment of a few seconds to say thank you, to appreciate something, and then it just puts out positive energy into the world.
Oof.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing it.
Big outcome.
Yes, Mr. Moore. I agree with you 100%. And this is why, again, was the creation of the podcast, A Learning Moment with Sabor Latino. Showing gratitude to my teachers, my counselors, my mentors, my coaches, my community, right? And everyone involved in my life to help me become a successful person today. And I'm always thankful. And this is the way I give back to my community, right? Mr. Morrison can be a testament to this. Never even asked him for no finances, right? To come on the show, to ask him for this, for that, for Sabor Latino. No, we're not doing that. We're doing this as a form of gratitude. And I want everyone to be clear on this. We're doing this podcast to help the community, to inspire the community, and also being thankful and having gratitude, exactly what we're talking about. Opening doors for others, for them to have the opportunity to be successful. My question to the world is, who would be the next person coming on the Sabor Latino show with their learning moment? Stay tuned, because we're definitely going to get into our next one about that. But right now, we got to focus on Mr. Morrison. We're not letting him go just like that. All right? So, again, thank you for coming, Mr. Morrison. We got one last question from Mr. Morrison. Wow, it's been a great interview. Wow. Last question, Mr. Morrison. Looking back at your own journey.
Wow.
What is one major learning moment that shaped you in who you are today? And remember, guys, a learning moment with Sabor Latino. All these been learning moments, but we got to hit that question.
Right.
What has been his learning moment that shaped Mr. Morrison of who he is, an inspirational person? Today is all yours, Mr. Morrison.
Yeah, that's something that's I could definitely remember that moment for sure. During the time I was in college, so this was in 2015. Wow, it's been 11 years.
Talk about it.
Yeah, time flies. But there was a moment where I had tried out for the basketball team in college. Oof. And this was the third year in a row I tried out in college.
Okay.
Now, this is not considering the other failures I had in high school. I had tried out 6 times in a row and failed. So this has been going on for 6 years.
Yeah, we spoke about that back then. A few years ago, we spoke about that. Yes.
Been practicing for years, 6 years in a row, things didn't work out. And this was before my last year of school. I was about to graduate, and I was putting all my eggs on making this team because I'm going to graduate next year, so this is like my last opportunity. And I literally get cut within the first 15 minutes of trials.
Didn't even make it to the team.
Yeah, this is even worse than the last few times I tried out. I didn't even make it to the full workout.
Copy.
I remember just sitting in the car and just really thinking to myself,
what happened here?
Yeah, is this something wow, this just happened so fast. I'm better now than I ever thought I was, and then the opportunity just went away just like that.
Oof.
So then I had to make a decision. Is this something I really want to continue pursuing? Do I still want to go all in, or do I want to just go the school, the pre-med route? Because I was getting good grades at the time.
Especially when you're big on basketball, right?
Yeah.
You're really on that, right? So go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I had dedicated so much time, and then I told myself, you know what? I'm not going to give up. I'm going to give it another shot. I'm going to go harder than ever before. And didn't even know that was possible because I've been doing this for so many years.
Yes, talk about it.
And that moment just helped me realize how resilient I could be and how I'm just not going to give up.
Yes.
And that's going to translate to every other thing in my life. So the fact that I didn't give up in that moment, and then I kept going and I worked harder, and it eventually paid off.
And also, not to cut you off, I must emphasize that even through these challenges, you were also able to play pro ball. Let's not forget that. Right. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So then after that happened, that's when I, took some time off from school, had a trainer, eventually making another college team at a higher division level
Nice.
than the college I was at.
Nice.
And then,
Nice.
over years, ended up playing semi-pro after that.
Nice.
So yeah, that was definitely a big learning moment for me.
Big learning moment.
Perseverance, yeah.
Persevering. So, before we wrap all this up, I gotta just, Sabor Latino got to put the input in there. Another learning moment. Going through some challenges, not making the high school team or making it at the end, I think he said. Not giving up, right? Through all those challenges, going inside his car and assessing what happened, right? Using the learning experience as, wow, this happened to me. The response would be, what am I going to do about it? What is the learning moment and how can I make that better? Obviously, he said in the beginning of the interview, he didn't give up on his dreams. He really wanted to focus on playing ball. He mentioned how much it meant to him and his education and all those experiences that his mom gave him and motivation to continue in life. So there's a lot of learning moments besides the specific learning moment, right? Having support in your life is important. Having good mentors, Mr. Morrison said, right? Learning in the beginning of his life that sometimes it's not easy as he thought it was going to be. Is that safe to say, Mr. Morrison?
Yeah.
Right? And also going through all these challenges and going to eventually being a productive member of society and also being the first guest on the Sabor Latino podcast, A Learning Moment with Sabor Latino. We can't forget that.
Yeah, of course.
Right?
Yeah.
So as we can see, his development, his consistency, not wanting to give up can be a learning moment to all the youth out there in the world. Because I know sometimes we have hard teachers. For the students that are in college, we might have some challenging professors in classes. To the ones that are trying to play ball and getting cut in high school. Michael Jordan is a prime example. He got cut in high school also, right? I believe.
Yeah.
Didn't make the high school team or didn't make his senior year. Became to be one of the greatest professional basketball players in the world and in history, right? So again, learning moments. Wow, Mrs. Morrison, this has been a blessing bringing you into our show. I hope it was a good welcoming moment for you.
Yeah.
I hope it was also a good learning moment into this podcast world.
Of course, yeah. Major learning moment.
Major learning moment,
appreciate
right?
that.
Doing it with Sabor Latino. Who else, right? Jamaica Queens. That's what I represent. Sabor Latino here,
Yeah.
right? And also all these great learning moments. So, before we close the show out, Mr. Morrison, can you please share with people, especially to the youth out there, they probably want to know about you. They want to probably follow your channel. You said you're a YouTuber.
Yeah.
Can you just share your social media to the people out there, and we'll go from there. We'll wrap it up.
Yeah, of course. So my YouTube channel is called One Way Up. It's with the number 1 and then Way Up. 2 words all together. But I'll post a photo of it up here so you guys can see it. TikTok, same handle, One Way Up. The number 1 Way Up, and my Instagram is S6Ben. So I hope you guys, go out, check my channel, see if you like it, support it. Feel free to subscribe. I got a lot of content on there. Been doing this for years, so would appreciate that.
And some good information too. So, wrapping this all up, you already see what we're doing here on this side of town, Jamaica Queens, a learning moment with Sabor Latino. First episode and more to come. To all my fans, to all the public out there, I just want to say thank you for all your love and support. Thank you to the higher power for making this finally possible, where someone or people in general in the community could come in and just share their learning moment and share it to the world, as the mission continues to be empowering the youth of tomorrow in my community. With all that said, Mr. Morrison, I got to give you a handshake. Thank you for coming. I appreciate you. Keep up the good work. And everyone out there, again, thank you for the love and support. Stay tuned for the next episode of the Learning Moment with Sabor Latino. Thank you to everyone out there. And I got to end it with this way. Blessings. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Woo.
Que ya ha pasado con todos los barrios, ya no hay cariño para nuestros niños. La escuela es importante, que ya ha pasado con todos los ambientes, que ya ha pasado con todos los barrios, ya no hay cariño para nuestros niños. Esto es complicado, pero tengo que hacerlo. Primero en línea es el Sabor Latino. Es increíble lo que sigue pasando y mis palabras se siguen ignorando. La escuela nos sigue fallando y las maestras siguen en silencio. Hipocresía, todo es ganancia y en las guarderías siguen vendiendo drogas. Mundo frío, no existe conciencia, no dejes que te engañe la apariencia. Muchas corbatas y muchos trajes de vestir, mientras los niños tienen que sufrir. Hay dinero